Namaste and welcome to IAAM Story Podcast, where we bring you stories of resilience, hope, and inspiration from incredible individuals across India. I am Sneha Bhattacharya, your host, and today we have a story that is bound to leave you motivated and brimming with positivity. Our guest today is someone who truly embodies the phrase, "Yes, you can." From humble beginning as a courier delivery boy to a distinguished 27-year career in Indian Air Force, he has lived a journey of grit, determination, and unmatched courage. But that's not all. His story of facing life's toughest challenges head on and emerging victorious will resonate deeply with you every time. So joining us is Mr. Nikhil Verma, sir, an aeronautical engineer from IIT Kanpur and a leader who has trained over 4,000 executives from 11 countries across the world in motivation and life skills. Welcome you, sir.
Thank you very much, Sneha, for welcoming me today.
Great. Sir, we would like you to tell us your motto is "Yes, you can." If you can tell that why you chose the motto "Yes, you can" to start with.
That's a very interesting story. The
Uh-huh.
motto, over a period of time, learning life lessons, learning experiences of life, I decided that yes, you can. That's a motivational motto for overcoming all challenges, all obstacles, and coming out victorious. So that should be the most appropriate motto. Yes, you can. And this is what I tell always to my students, always to my trainees, that always remember this. Yes, you can. Come what may, come whatever may be the challenges, you can overcome if you have self-belief. So that's what the motto is. Yes, you can.
Great, great, sir. I'm sure there must be a very interesting story behind this, which has led you to this "Yes, you can." Can you just give us a glimpse of that story?
Uh, well, as you mentioned, I started off my life a very, very humble life. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
my first job was a courier delivery boy, working as on per day basis. I remember way back, almost 40 years back, I was while studying in school and earning about 100 rupees a day. Gradually, that was the time when I was first introduced to something called as computer. So it was a white color box on some of the shops, some of the places where I was delivering. I would deliver these articles, and when I would ask them, what is this, like a television, some of them would shoo me away and some of them would say, yes, it's a computer. And I got fascinated for it. And then I inquired, how do you learn about what it can do? They said, you have to become an engineer for that. And that's what my journey started for becoming an engineer. And somehow I managed to reach engineering college and continued studying there. Yeah, my mother took a lot of loans for that, completing my studies. There were some challenges. There were some surmounting challenges in completion of my academics. And then luck would have it that I joined Indian Air Force. I cleared the services selection board and got selected when I was in my final year. Again, some obstacles came, which were quite big obstacle at that time. And being in hostel, there were friends who rallied around me, who supported me emotionally. Some medical issues were there to overcome that obstacle. And then joined the Air Force, and the journey, as you mentioned, of 27 years, it started. And over a period of time, this thought strongly uh, found a place in my mind that if you are confident, if you believe in yourself, in your abilities, then yes, you can. So that's what my motto, which I pass it on to younger generation, that believe in yourself, yes, you can. And that's what I pass it on. It's quite infectious. Still, I believe, yes, you can.
Definitely, so it is infectious. Having said that, I would like to mention to our audience that the challenges that you are saying were not actually little challenges or small challenges. So as much I have heard from you and I have known.
We can some other time bring on those things. But yes, there were challenges. There were
Uh-huh.
quite big challenges,
Uh,
and but yeah, partly it would have been luck,
uh,
partly support from family, support from friends, a lot
okay.
of good wishes, lot of support from there were some challenges which required doctor intervention. There were some challenges which required other support. So the life journey continued. I never believe in cowing down in face
Great.
of challenges. So I
So
said,
I
okay, let's move forward.
definitely. So, sir, serving in the IF is an honor, but it comes with its own set of challenges, I'm sure. So, can you share a moment during your IF career that tested your resilience the most?
Uh, I'll give you a couple of examples. Not, I will not say testing resilience,
Mm-hmm.
but I would say as part of my learning cycle, learning steps.
Okay.
So my very first assignment
Mm-hmm.
was in southern part of India after my training got completed.
Mm-hmm.
And I observed, and I was very, just about less than 6 months into service. And
Mm-hmm.
I was given a responsibility of a section in which there were about 35 people who were below me. They were very serious, senior supervisors, experienced, and I was in charge of that section. Two
Great.
things, two
Uh-huh.
mistakes I did, and which I learned a lot of lessons from it.
Okay.
One mistake, I looked at other sections. They were very neat and clean. Vegetation is clean, garden is clean. And my section was having a lot of vegetation and wild growth all around it. So I asked my staff, how do we clean it? They said, sir, you put a controlled fire. You just burn it. They'll burn it away, and in few months' time, it'll have green grass. I said, okay, let's also burn it.
Mm-hmm.
And we light it up a fire. We
Okay.
didn't realize that because it was summer season, dry grass, the fire was moving away. It was going beyond the boundary wall, which was about 7, 8 feet. Small tinter were going away. And now the fire was beyond the station complex and it was going towards the residential area. I didn't know it, and we were happily looking at it. One of the training aircraft was landing, and they observed from the aircraft, they observed that there is a fire which is behind our wall. And they immediately, from air itself, they alerted fire brigade. Immediately fire brigade came, it doused the fire, and said, and we said, why are you doing it? We are doing a controlled fire. We want to make our section beautiful. So that was the first lesson, that when you get into doing any job, you
Mm-hmm.
should be completely in knowledge of it, what you are doing. Don't become a foolhardy and taking over the responsibility, taking over some decision or taking over some action without knowing fully what you are into it. So that was my the first big lesson. The second big lesson to me also came very shortly.
Mm-hmm.
My section had, I was in charge of a section which was having vehicles under it.
Okay.
I was having 4 trucks under my supervision, amongst the other 60 odd vehicles which were under my responsibility. And every time a driver would climb into the truck, the whole truck would tilt to the driver's side. Every time a passenger would climb, the whole truck would tilt towards the passenger. So I asked my supervisor, what's the problem here? Why is it tilting? It should not happen. So they explained to me, sir, there is some pivotal point below the driver cabin and that is weak. It is a design problem, whatever they explained. Again, in my foolhardiness, I said, well, where do we get these trucks? Who supplies? So there's a company in Chennai which supplies. Okay, let's write to the company. And I wrote a letter to a company with the wordings were, you are supplying substandard vehicle to Air Force. I was supposed to inform my senior. He is supposed to inform his senior. Certain protocol is to be followed. I bypassed everything and I blamed. And those were the days without telephone, without mobile, without internet. We all forgot. After about 4 or 5 months, a team of engineers from the company were there at the doorstep of my office, and they said, we want to do it. And now the whole hell broke loose.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody up the chain, they started asking. And then I said, yes, I did it. And only then I realized, my God, I've done a grave mistake. Although I received a lot of bullshit because of my mistake, because
Mhm.
of my breaking the protocol, because
Mhm.
of not following the procedure. But then it gave me a second lesson in the life that when you are doing any work, you should know the rules. You should know the communication channel. You should know the protocol. You should involve your seniors. You should involve your juniors. You should understand what you're doing. Don't just jump to the conclusion just to put your flag up, which I did. So these were few things which initial days in my life I learned the lesson.
So
One
coming to your
incident,
next second, yeah, sorry, sorry, not
please,
in.
please, please go ahead. Please go ahead,
Okay,
Sneha.
no, so as I heard your second story, this has intrigued me into one thing, that is today's Gen Z, right? So they are a firm believer of not following rules, not following any kind of protocols and doing it their own way. So what would be your tip to them, that is it always like that or we should find a balance, or how is it?
One is know the rules of the game first. When
Mhm.
I say rules of the game means whatever organization, whatever chair, either you are in the IT side, hospitality side, service sector side, whichever job, engineering side, you should first understand the rules. You should first understand what is your area of responsibility. What is the domain in which you are working?
Okay.
Uh, till what extent is your area of responsibility? Beyond that, if you have to approach whom you have to approach. So there's a lot of role of interpersonal communication in this. One has to speak. You are rightly said, Sneha, that younger generation feels that it's not my job. I should not ask or I should not be answered, which is completely wrong. When you are working in an organization, you are a small part of the complete organization. So you should know the rule. You should communicate. So again, communicate, communicate, communicate. Talk very often, seek answers, seek solutions. That's extremely important. Otherwise, you will be working in a silo,
Mhm.
and that's not good, neither for you, not for the company, for your growth also. You can't say that the world ends at my nose. You have to go beyond. And for that, you need to interact in organization and outside the organization both.
Surely, surely, sir. That's a great insight. I'm sure people who are just, who have just started their career and are into their early 20s will learn a lot if they hear and if they take your guidance also, from this podcast.
Yep, yep.
Yeah. So, sir, like you are into training now, right? So, after such a decorated career in the IAF, so what inspired you to take up this motivational training, and how has your transition to the corporate world begin?
One thing is, I firmly believe that as a bigger vision of life,
Mm-hmm.
not many things I have received,
Mm-hmm.
whether it is learning lessons of life, gaining experience, lot many things from Indian Air Force, from friends, from colleagues. So those things, I believe that it has to be passed on to the next generation. If I retain it with myself, then I'm doing some injustice. I have to pass it on. I have to share. That was the first step. Within Air Force, uh, in quantifiable term, approximately 13 to 14 years, I was directly involved with training. I gradually got transitioned in Air Force, and I became an instructor. And at various capacities, in the end, I retired as head of the management faculty. At various roles were there. So rich experience, whatever I have gained, and I also developed a flair for teaching and training. And I felt that that's my calling. That's my calling. After Air Force, I am giving a lot of motivational talk, lot of developmental workshops I'm conducting. And those things I was introduced to IAAM. And through IAM, through a personal contact, somebody introduced me. I really felt that it's a nice place to uh, learn further, learn the steps of this particular domain, and then move ahead in my second career. So
Great.
that's the thing which I learned from Air Force. I am trying to pass it on to the next generation
Mhm.
and take it as not take it. I've already taken it as a full time career. So in Air Force, one thing I've learned that training is extremely important. In Air Force or in any defense services, I'll talk about Air Force, the training is constantly you are trained, improved, trained even by your juniors, trained by your seniors. Even if it's not a training school, it's a normal office or a normal organization on an Air Force flying base where you're working. One day is dedicated, which we call as a continuity training day. That's a day where you depute one amongst you beforehand who conducts a class, who trains. It could be repetition, everyone may be knowing, but it is something like an aircraft, you have that safety belt, even though you are knowing it, but still the air hostess says that please listen to us, you may need it one day.
Right.
Exactly on the same lines, the Air Force also says that learn it, even though you may be knowing it, but again learn it, again polish out, ask some questions. There could be something which would be missing out. So everybody sits together and they undergo this short coaching or a training. So those are the things which are part and parcel of my life and which I am trying to pass it on to the next generation as my second career.
Great. I'm sure as a trainer, as a faculty, you are in IAF, you have some moments where you can actually tell all of the trainers in the IAM group or even outside the IAM group, wherein you have faced certain challenges, maybe in terms of anything, in terms of resources, in terms of any such example, if you have in your mind, if you can share, wherein we can
I'll tell
motivate.
a very interesting story.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as part of Air Force, I, along with one senior, we were
Mm-hmm.
deputed as the first training team to a friendly foreign country.
Okay.
And we were part of official, and we were deputed to work along with the friendly foreign country and their Air Force, their army, and we were positioned in this friendly foreign country. So when we reached there, we felt that this institute and this training establishment is fully functional, and we are just going there in a particular lecture hall or classroom, and we will start teaching. And when we reached there, we were given a sheet of paper which had their approval
Okay.
that now you can conduct this particular specialization classes.
Mm-hmm.
And we were told, okay, start teaching. So it came like a big bolt out of blue that we have to start everything from scratch: training establishment, training aids, learning ourselves, even library books, preparing notes, preparing practicals, preparing practical handbooks, and simultaneously teach because academic session, which is a university class, is going on and students are facing you.
And you were standing there in front of entire class without
I have
any
to
of.
stand in front of entire class and teach.
Okay,
So it
great.
was both ways. So it
Mm-hmm.
was very interesting experience for us. So we not only banked back on Indian Air Force to help us with training notes, we
Mm-hmm.
banked on many other foreign universities through the contacts of student, through the contact of this particular friendly country. In
Mm-hmm.
many foreign universities where other students are working, other professors are there to help us out with training notes. And most of our time was, not most, a lot of time was there in uh, preparing training aids, preparing teaching
And
aids.
there was no AI that time, I'm sure.
Absolutely. No AI. Internet was not, it was there, but
Mm-hmm.
certainly it was very basic, not it is today. I am talking of about 14 years back. So
Okay.
definitely no WhatsApp. Facebook was just there, but we would remain away from Facebook because of the type of job that we were doing, away
Mm-hmm.
from social media. So it was an interesting challenge. And
Mm-hmm.
for us, for both of us, the biggest motivation at that moment was that you are representing your country. When you're standing in front of those students and the other officers, they are looking at you, the best of the best from India, best of the best from Indian Air Force. So you can't cry and go back to your organization and say, how do I do it? I have to
Wonderful.
deliver. I have to deliver in a time bound manner. So
Right.
that was the motivation factor. And yeah, it went well. The chief of their organization, their defense force, in the end gave us the commendation medal. We reached over and led a team to NASA in a lunar robot contest, international inter-university lunar robot contest.
Great.
So some media coverage in that country also as to what
Mhm.
work has been done.
Mhm.
And we established a very good legacy, which is going on for last 14 years, and it's continuing further. The students whom we taught at that moment, today they are postdoctorate and going in various foreign universities. So they remember. So that was a good thing. So lesson learned is that don't cow down.
Right.
Challenges are bound to be there. Organization challenges are bound to be there. If organization has put faith in you,
Hmm.
don't go back to the organization crying, I can't do it. Trust your professionalism, trust your knowledge, and deliver.
That's such an important takeaway for all of us, sir. Actually, many a times it happens. I guess in most of the training programs, there'll be something or the other which is missing. And you will have to do that at the right moment, at the right time there. But having learning, listening to you about being a representative of our country and then facing this challenge and overcoming it is definitely surely inspirational, sir.
Yeah.
So I would like to know that if you are willing to share any of the personal setbacks in this journey, including IAF or after IAF, that you have faced and you have overcome, because many of us, other than our professional, because of many personal setbacks, people don't get the courage to come out of it. So if you can share any of such personal setbacks, if you are willing to share, obviously, then it would
Uh,
be.
Personal setbacks. One is that I was very young. I
Mhm.
was just 13 years when I lost my father.
Okay.
So, and that was a time my mother not well, very well educated, and also not very much worldly wise.
Okay.
Both things from a village, even though we were staying in suburbs of Delhi at that time.
Mhm.
So not worldly wise, not well educated, but she was the one who brought me up, me and my sister. So it
Mhm.
was a challenging period.
Okay.
Uh, Frankly, I was not good in academics at that time. So for me to understand the importance of academics, it was certain period of time before I could realize that
Mhm.
education is important. Whether it was a teenage, um, teenage whatever got wavered, but
Mhm.
somehow it was not, focus was not in academics, although I knew it and everybody would tell me that
Mhm.
academics is important, but
Okay.
somehow it was not in the focus. So that was one thing. And there were some medical issues I did develop when I was in my final year of engineering, and I
Mhm.
had cleared my Air Force entrance examination, SSB, everything was cleared. I was just to go and join the Air Force, the Air Force Technical College to start my training. And I was writing my final year exams. I
Mhm.
was just about 1 week short of it. And during my preparatory time in staying in a hostel, and
Mhm.
one fine day I got up and I had a very serious medical complication, which I didn't knew what to do. And I also didn't had courage at that time to call back my mother and say, hey, mom, I've got a problem, because I knew that she's alone. My sister is younger. What she can do? And I was confused. I was tensed. I am to write the exam. And I also knew that I am cleared in Air Force. I have to join that institute.
And you had
So,
to clear the medicals also.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So it was a very confusing period in my mind, tense period. I was scared as to
Mhm.
what is happening to me.
Mhm.
But again, as they say, that sometimes your prayers come, your doctors come help,
Mhm.
and a lot of my close friends were there who boosted my morale. So
Mhm.
I would write my exam in the college, and
Mhm.
they would rush me to the doctor for undergoing the treatment. Again, come back home in the hostel. Again, 2 3 days of examination break. So write the second exam. Again, go back to the doctor. Come back again. The cycle continued. Uh, for many, many years, I did not tell the complete picture to my mother. Uh, by God's blessing, by good doctors and support of my friends, I overcame that medical situation and joined Air Force, cleared the medicals, continued my career. But uh, but that was a period which was definitely a tense period for me as a youngster. And yeah, life continues. Life throws in some challenge. We face all those challenges and we overcome.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, that's wonderful, sir. So, like, what has been your most rewarding experience, if I may ask, in your post IAF journey as a trainer and
Okay.
speaker now?
Very, very interesting. Very interesting. Very nice thing is there. I was invited at at a non-profit
Okay.
training institute
Okay.
which trains civil services aspirants, and they train primarily from those students who are from the tribal belt.
Oh,
Primarily,
great.
primarily.
Uh-huh.
And they train for civil services, state civil services, also other government jobs. They would
Hmm.
train. And I conducted my 1 day workshop. These students were in attention. They were listening to every word what I was speaking.
Mhm.
At the end of session, there was a small media interview.
Mhm.
That finished. It was close to about 6 o'clock in the evening. The 4 o'clock things finished. And I
Mhm.
was winding up and saying goodbye and leaving. All students had left by the time.
Okay.
As I came out, I found 8 of the students who were waiting outside that building. So I vaguely recognized, because it was just few hours of session which I did. I vaguely recognized with them. And this, I said, you were in the class? They said, yes, we were in the class. I said, yes, what can I do? Or very nice interacting with you. Pleasantries were there.
Mm.
They just came and said, sir, can we touch your feet? And at that moment, I said, touch your feet. I said, just bless us. As good you are, we also want to become good. And so that was a very, very
Rewarding.
motivating thing for me,
Definitely.
very rewarding thing for me. And in fact, it was very gratitude full of thing for me, what these students did. And one of the student, in the end, he said, sir, even though it's evening time, I had brought some halwa. So would you like to, not would you like, he said, sir, please taste. I said, no, no, it's okay. Well, no, sir, this is from my home and I carried it. I didn't eat it in the morning. I want you to take a halwa. So it was a sense of gratitude what people express, those youth expressed to me. And it was a difference between have and have not in front of me. And then that was very rewarding thing for me. Very, very rewarding thing.
That is
Uh,
actually so good to hear all this. And when being, so junior to you, I see you a epitome of learnings. I can learn so much from you, even not only in this podcast, even after I'll continue learning. But
Most
this
welcome.
actually intrigues me, sir, to know that, to understand that after so much of your career, after understanding so much, and now you're delivering, that is one side, but you're so curious to learn. So in this IAM trainer group, I see you that you are so curious to learn even now. So what is it that, even now it builds that spark in you to learn and continue learning?
Actually, I look at the younger generation. They are the torch bearers for future. I have only gained from my experience, but future belongs to younger generation. They know much more than what I have gained in my experience. I may have experience, but the younger generation has knowledge. A very small example, Instagram.
Mhm.
Instagram is in thing. To be very frank, I have never used Instagram. Not even see a video on it, leave aside making. I still feel uncomfortable. I don't have a Facebook account. Although I know if I have to become a trainer and reach out to people, I should have a Facebook. So it's not that technology is scaring me. It's something that I never felt the need for it. So to answer your question, I'm curious. I'm always curious to know more. So probably earlier the type of work was keeping me away, but now I'm curious to learn, and I understand younger generation, Sneha, you and the other participants, they are having far more knowledgeable than me. So I'm just picking up everything everybody is passing on, and that's my curiosity which keeps me going.
So we in the last podcast also we talked about learning ka kida. So I guess that is one common thing among all the trainers that you keep learning because that is when you can actually surpass your learning to somebody else.
Not only for the trainers, for every
Everyone.
profession.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have to keep learning always. To moving ahead, you have to keep learning.
True. True.
Otherwise, you will get outdated.
Okay. So, for our listeners, especially the youth of India, what would be your message about overcoming challenges and achieving their dreams? That's the last note, if you can explain that to all of us.
There are bound to be challenges.
Mhm.
In life is bound to give you challenge.
Sure.
At every step, no matter howsoever well you are prepared, there are bound to be challenge. Don't cow down. Absolutely don't cow down. Be prepared. Take your best foot forward, but be prepared. Be mentally prepared in your planning. Be prepared. Things are bound to go wrong. It could be in any direction. As simple as that, I am talking to you. There can be an internet failure. It shouldn't happen. So, so, so it can happen. So for youth, I would say that you always be prepared and be prepared professionally, be prepared physically, be prepared with your fitness. And gradually, as the young executives and young managers and middle level managers, you should be prepared for the financial part, your family part. Always keep preparing, keep honing your skills, professional skills, financial skills, family skills. That's the only way forward. That's the only way forward. I
So,
always work with a plan B, plan C. If that fails, this is plan B. If plan B fails, plan C.
hmm.
So that's what I can share with youngsters.
So planning and challenges will definitely come, but never cow down from that. That would be
Absolutely.
your, my takeaway from your podcast. And I'm sure everybody who will listen to the podcast will get equally motivated and inspired as I am right now. Thank you so much. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. Thank you. And thanks to
Thank
IAM for giving the opportunity.
you.
See you. Signing off.